Hello, hello. I am so incredibly excited to be here with you all today for this Embodied Power series. I am Dr. Elisa Peavy. I am an osteopathic physician. I am an intuitive, a spiritual intuitive, energy worker, and I am here today to talk to you all about the importance of our emotions when it comes to real health, when it comes to deep inner healing. So, of course, for many people, this story starts with my own personal story, and how that drew me into this different way of approaching my patients. A different way of approaching medicine, and really a different way of approaching health. I started watching different things back in like 2007, like The Secret and Down the Rabbit Hole, which really started me thinking about more the impact that our thoughts have on our emotions, the impact that our subconscious belief systems have on our emotions. And because of watching those really not in depth videos, but just enough to give me some information and to let me know that even back then, I was in medical school, knowing that we're really missing an essential piece of how we approach patients. And that is really that emotional piece. I graduated from my residency in 2013 and started practicing. And really, for the next 7 years, since graduating, I started to see a pattern in all of my patients. I started to see that the majority of them who had chronic medical problems also had underlying depression, anxiety, mental health issues. And I started to see that most of the time they were all directly related somehow. So it doesn't matter if the person was presenting with diabetes or high blood pressure or some autoimmune disease. I began to see the major impact that our emotions truly have on our health just from watching these patients come in to see me. And, when you're in an office and you have 20 minutes to essentially see a patient and get all their medications filled and check their blood pressure and make sure that, that we're doing all the right things and we've got the labs, and that that really doesn't leave any much of any time to address anything emotional. And the only thing it leaves is our ability to prescribe medications, which are helpful and sometimes have an impact, but a lot of times they don't. And when we are just prescribing medications for symptoms that people are presenting with, whether it's again anxiety or high blood pressure, and we're only treating that with medications, we're missing that really important emotional, energetic aspect of ourselves. And we're really only treating the physical. We're not getting to the root cause of really what may have precipitated or increased that person's risk for developing that disease process. And so I began to, I guess the term would be burnout. I began to feel that because I would drive home at the end of the day, and I would feel like I was not able to truly reach or impact my patients in the best way because, again, time and the inability to really get to the root cause. And I really felt like I was not just failing my patients, but, kind of myself as well, and not really not really helping in the best way that I could. at the same time, probably around 2016 or so, I started having problems with my thyroid. I was noticing that I was dealing with weight gain. I was dealing with muscle fatigue. I would go to work out CrossFit. I could barely lift what I used to. The muscle soreness that I would experience was just out of what we would expect from someone who's exercising and lifting, all the time. It was like I had not worked out for months and was definitely feeling the effects from that. Because of some of the classes that I had gone to, the things that I had watched when, back in 2007, and then other empowerment classes that I went to after that, I began really learning and seeing how much of our physical ailments are attached to those emotions. And I started looking into the thyroid and started figuring out that your thyroid, this is our voice, right? This is in our throat chakra. This is all about how we express ourselves. It's all about how we present ourselves to the world, and it's about whether or not we're able to put uh, whether we're able to step over the fear, I guess, of speaking, and let ourselves be heard. And the thyroid, especially for a lot of women, is an area that we are suppressed for a number of different reasons. Whether we're the working mom and we're doing everything for our family, taking care of our kids, kind of putting ourselves on the back burner, or taking care of ourselves last. We tend to see that a lot, and it's directly and emotionally linked with those feelings of being on the back burner and not really being able to express ourselves. At the same time, I also was dealing with my own kids and was seeing with my oldest, who at that time was around 12 or 13. She was showing signs of a teenager, but just a lot of not doing what we ask, lots of talking back, lots of just refusing to if she was grounded to to be grounded, instead was doing all of these things that were really affecting the entire family dynamic. It was affecting my other kids. It was affecting my relationship with her. For years, I don't remember even her really looking at me and even just saying, I love you. And because of that experience and knowing firsthand that a lot of the way that we act, a lot of the reasons why we are, our behaviors are what they are, is because we've learned them as children. Or we brought them into this lifetime at the time we were born. They're generational patterns that we have. These are subconscious neural pathways that have been created that help to dictate our emotions. And emotions, in and of themselves, are also incredibly powerful because they also help manifest our future. And when we're sitting in emotions that are low, like fear and anger, sadness, grief, and instead of a normal way, our emotions should be up and down. That is, a person who is balanced and harmony should have emotions where they're hitting, feelings of joy and happiness. And then at times they're going to go down into sadness and grief. But it's when we sit down and stay in those low emotions over time, that completely impacts our health. It impacts what is coming into our lives, and it impacts our experiences. So, just as an example, when we have a thought that is going through our mind and that thought is creating an emotional reaction, if that emotional reaction is one of sadness or grief or anger or frustration, our limbic system literally creates a response throughout our body, sends signals throughout our entire body to continue to create that same feeling. And I really started researching all of this and started figuring out that there's such a huge piece of our health that is directly related to that specifically. And I then started doing my own work. I started seeing all kinds of different integrative therapy practitioners, like rapid eye therapists, medical intuitives, mediums, past life practitioners, you name it. I mean, acupuncture, everything. And as I was doing those and going through that process and having, some pretty impactful sessions with a lot of these people, I started to see 3 months, 6 months that how I interacted with my family, how I responded to my husband, even how I interacted and was present with my patients. It all started to shift and change. My daughter even said one time, she was like, "Mom, you're like so calm now." And it's true. And the reason, I mean, I was a busy mom. I was in medical school and I was having kids, and of course, they were busy too. But I found myself, because I was constantly overwhelmed and I didn't really know how to manage my emotions. I would react, and I would just like, I was constantly just like, oh my gosh, kids, okay, we've got to go, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And it was this constant feeling of like needing to be hyped up, and you've got all these things you have to do. And just from the integrative therapies that I started doing, and the meditations, and really working on my emotional health, using something called an AO scanner, which listens to the inflections in your voice and can tell what's going on with you emotionally. And then it helps with balancing that by playing specific music that works on those specific emotions um, to help get back into that balanced, harmonious feeling. Um, so I was learning all these things and doing all these things, and really seeing just such a massive benefit for not just myself but for my family as well. What we do very much bleeds into those around us and has a big impact on them and how they're doing. And I started. I would say to myself, man, I wish that my kids or my kids' friends or just kids in general, if they knew a lot of these skills and tools, and if they were aware that if they had more of this inner awareness, and if they were able to use those tools to empower them to be able to step through whatever it is, I just had the greatest feeling of the impact that would have on our future generations and our future world. And so my vision for family camp, really came to be from that. At family camp, we work with families. Um, We are working with teenagers. We're working with kids. We even have, quick weekend getaways. Um, but the family camp specifically is utilizing integrative therapies um, that help to go to those subconscious neural pathways that have already been developed, help to rewire and create new neural pathways for behaviors that are more positive. We look at the emotional impacts that a lot of these kids or families have had and help them process a lot of those things, help them work through some of what may have occurred to them when they were younger or at some point in their life that is impacting how the family is operating, impacting, how the family unit really is working together. And we use activities that then puts them into situations where they're working together and they're collaborating, and this is all together in one long week where they're getting body learnings, they are getting the hands on experience, they are getting the emotional work processes, becoming self aware about their patterns, about their family pattern, and helping really reintegrate that with things like rapid eye technology and the family matrix realignment. There are that there is not are but there's science showing how impactful that has, and really teaching these families the truth about the universe and about how we work and how we operate, and really empowering them versus feeling always like something out there has to take care of my problem. I've got to get a medication to fix it. I have to go do that thing in order to fix it. But instead, it's really empowering these individuals to step into who they truly are and to see what's not working and give them the tools they need to move through that and to move past that. And it has it's been my dream, for about 10 years. And I'm finally putting together the first annual family camp this summer in July. It's July 11th through the 18th up in Puffer Butte, Washington, in this magical forest, and just trees everywhere. And we'll be camping and have an incredible chef who's making organic meals, and really just bringing these families together and creating moments and experiences for just better connectivity and a better way to just be together. So, I am Dr. Elisa Peavy, and I am so excited that I was able to be here and be a part of this incredible summit. Um, I will be back next week as well. We'll be talking more about the subconscious patterns and their impact, and all the different therapies and things that we can use in order to help rewire what we've already created. So, thank you again. I hope you have a beautiful day.